What's good, family? I hope everybody's had a good weekend. Mine was pretty good. I can't too much complain. But nevertheless, I want to thank y'all for coming to tap in with me here on another video. So with that being said, I want to talk about 3 self-sabotaging habits or ideas that are stopping you from living in your greatest form. All right. So one of 3. The first thing I want to talk about is gossip. A lot of us, we love to talk, about other things, people, and ideas, that we don't necessarily have no control over. And so it makes me wonder and think, like, why do we give so much time and energy to things that are going to take place in its natural form outside of us, in spite of how we feeling about it, or, how is that really affecting you in your personal life as to why you feel the need to give your energy about certain people, especially in a negative manner. Like, it's one thing to gossip, out of, positive thought, or, really giving somebody their flowers about something. But why do we tend to give our energy to negative thoughts and ideas about certain people or things? I feel like a lot of times when we do this, it's because it's something we got going on the inside of us. Naturally, as human beings, we're going to deal with unpleasant thoughts. I mean, that's only indefinite. But that don't mean don't put in the necessary work to maintain what you're thinking or put some kind of boundaries around your thoughts. When those negative thoughts arise, it's cool to be aware of what you're thinking, and reminding yourself that these kind of things is going to come up sometimes. The world itself is already going to put so much on us. So why not take the necessary steps to shape what you got going on within yourself? When you're not taking the time to manage what's going on the inside of you, then is when your mind is on autopilot. You're not taking necessary steps to maintain the boundaries within your thoughts. So a lot of times we drift into a negative place, about a lot of different ideas. And this is hurting us in the long run. This kind of thing becomes a norm for a lot of us because we're not controlling them inner thoughts and that inner talk, which also leads me on to talking about, controlling that inner voice, and managing a lot of our negative thoughts and the things we say to ourselves, which would stop us from allowing that to seep on the outside of yourself onto other people and other things. And then also, really, when you find yourself to engage in this kind of behavior, it only really make you look like a hater, or somebody who could really see into a situation like that will probably begin to realize that maybe it's just something that you really are inspired about when it comes to that person or that idea or that certain thing. If you feel the need to give it your time and your energy. The number 2 idea that is self-sabotaging you or not allowing you to live in the best version of yourself is not exercising. There are a lot of us who don't really like the idea of exercising or really putting ourselves in an uncomfortable position to make progress within ourselves, not only within our body, but within our minds. But exercising is so important because you have to be able to keep a good transition within your body, and your mind. But exercising and burning the sweat will allow you to get rid of a lot of the toxic waste that's built up in your body. And it'll help you to cleanse your cells. Cells are also a living part of us. We have trillions of cells within our body that need to be cleansed, that need to dump old waste and product. Just like you do when you go to the bathroom every day. Your cells got to do the same thing. And when you're doing this, you're allowing, your mind, body, emotions, all of these different things to be revitalized within this process of exercising. Now, when I say exercise, you don't have to be in the gym, super bodybuilding and lifting a whole bunch of weight. But simply just going out or going somewhere and getting some movement in, putting your body in a somewhat uncomfortable position to break a sweat. This would allow you to release some endorphins in your mind. That's, the feel-good chemicals in your brain. When you can do exercise and put yourselves in these positions to make progress within your body, this will then begin to shape your thoughts also. It'll begin to help you do less of that gossiping and wanting to be negative about certain things and certain people, or necessarily yourself. Being able to break some kind of sweat with exercise will put you in an type moment. Brings you a sense of relaxation. It helps to relieve a lot of that stress that we got built up inside of ourselves. So I would I would recommend, at least 15 minutes a day, whether that be, standing in place and doing, kinds of aerobic exercises, or simply like what I'm doing right now. I'm taking a stroll around the lake. Something to get your heart rate up from where it is all the time, man. Getting your blood pumping. When you allow yourself to sit up, cooped up all day, every day, whether it be at home or at a job or sitting in one place, you're not allowing yourself to relieve the tension in your body. Everybody has tension in their body due to a lot of external factors. But exercise, even if it's just a little bit a day at a time, can help to relieve a lot of this pressure and tension that we got within our bodies, our minds. All of these things go hand in hand, which will then have a play on your thoughts and your day-to-day interactions as far as how you're going to be moving. So I'm encouraging you guys, really try to do your best to try to get you some kind of exercise in, even if it's just a walk, or you shuffling your feet and your hands, something to get your heart rate going, something to get your energy in motion. We are all energy, and energy is never supposed to be stagnant. You ever seen the ocean and how it's constantly moving? It's constantly in motion, revitalizing itself. So it maintains its certain color. It maintains its, its validity, versus like a swimming pool, that's not being managed, or like a tub of water, that's just sitting still. Eventually that water is going to get dirty, it's going to mold, it's going to get brown, and be full of bacteria. That's because the water is not in motion. Water is energy. Water is you. So constantly being in motion, will allow you to, revitalize yourself and generate some of this energy, within yourself. You are no different than that ocean or that bathtub. The third and final idea that is self-sabotaging and not allowing you to live in the best version of yourself. This one is really for my fellas. It pertains to the ladies too, but I'm really speaking to my fellas when it comes to this one. Draining your seed. Constantly letting off your life force, your vital energy, through masturbation or constant sexual activity. Now, I'm not saying these things are taboo or it's something that you shouldn't do. Everybody have sex. But when you constantly letting off, you constantly ejaculating and wasting your seed, then this is when it becomes to be a problem. You see, recognize that I said life force. Your seed is much more than, fluid that helps to create life. It's a creative force amongst just making babies. This creative force is what gives you life. Your sperm, your ejaculation has a lot of vitamins and nutrients, within it, that helps to keep the body sustained. So when you constantly letting off, you basically in a way like killing yourself. And I'm not saying that it's not gonna happen or that, this is like a sin or nothing like that. I'm not talking like that. But when you constantly and carelessly letting off your seed, then is when it becomes to be a problem. You see, constantly letting off your seed then begins to promote like a lack of confidence, your thoughts will be a lot more cloudy. Your outlook on life is a whole total different process versus when you are retaining it and keeping it within you. So constantly ejaculating and letting off your seed, it's draining you in the end and not allowing you to live in your greatest character, live in your best light. I'm gonna use myself as an example. Didn't have my turn and my share of a lot of experiences, and I can consciously notice how I'm feeling before any kind of activity versus after I let off. Letting one off, it brings you a sense of relaxation and gives you a release of a lot of this dopamine in your brain, which is instant gratification. But letting off your seed then has its experience in how you interact in the outer world. Like I say, less confident. You begin to become a lot more desensitized to a lot of natural ideas. Your interaction with women, begins to change because you constantly letting out your life force. I think it is beneficial to be mindful about, how much you letting off. Not saying to change what you doing, but how much you letting off. If you could find it within yourself to keep that within you and preserve what you've been blessed with, it's very vital and essential to your day-to-day functions. I took it upon myself to refrain from watching so much porn, because as this puts you in a state of temptation, to make you want to play with yourself or something like that, and which in turn, or in result, you end up draining yourself of the life force it is that I'm talking about. So these are 3 ideas that contribute into self-sabotaging. I feel like if we can, take a lot more of our actions into account, then we'll begin to start, being able to better ourselves in our individuality, and holding ourselves accountable for, our day-to-day behaviors. With that being said, family, I hope everybody has a good rest of their day. And until next time, thank you for tapping in with me.